Hi everyone, Bedon here. I have been playing through the demo for Born of Bread, and this is a game that I found when looking for other games like Paper Mario. And this was announced online. The game itself isn't out yet. They just released the demo yesterday though. And I'm going to give you just a quick overview of some things I noticed from playing through the demo, at least as far as I could, because I couldn't get all the way through the demo because of tech issues, glitches, and stuff like that. But I'll get to that in a little bit. First, though, I want to mention all the things that I think they did a really good job on. The writing in the game is amazing. The world, as far as visually, is amazing. If you take a look at the character models and the background, the lighting, and all that, this is a two-person team. This is insane. They did a really, really good job in that regard as well. And the soundtrack is just, oh my god, the soundtrack is so good. The person that they hired, I had never heard of before, but they are fantastic. This soundtrack is great, and it really sounds like Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, which is super exciting because that's my favorite Paper Mario game. And it's, I think, a lot of people's favorite Paper Mario game. And this game is very clearly based off of that mechanically, too. They're trying very hard to make it feel like that game. And I think they're doing pretty good. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the writing then, shall we? So they have loading screens with jokes. They have characters in the game making fun of themselves and each other. So you've got some nice puns and just like internet culture jokes. Gaming convention, like they joke on the fact they walk into people's houses and stuff like that. And then they have some pretty long scenarios as well. This guy locked his friends outside, and he's upset that their house is better than his. So you talk to him, and he says, fine, I'll go make my house better, basically. So you go out there, and you talk to them again. It opens up the gate that he locked, and they can go back into their house. It's one of the quests in the game, and doing quests can get you items and give you access to new areas and stuff like that. The writing, like I said, is amazing, and I remember when I was playing through this section, I actually laughed out loud because I was just like, this is so ridiculous. I love it. There's also these two sibling birds, and one of them is supposed to be doing chores and is not, so you have to find a way to get to their sibling and be like, hey, go do your chores. So if you run into this tree, there are butterflies that you can fly using. You get caught by them and then jump and you'll fly away. And his big sister, or his little, I don't know, little sister, is yelling at him. But this bird doesn't want to do his chores, their chores, and then you have to go tell them that afterwards. But they give you a different costume, which is cool. There are different costumes that you can get, which I think is sweet. They fall under boons, which are basically upgrades. There are other upgrades later for like HP and healing and stuff like that. But that was just a cool one, different costume. There's also some overworld mechanics, sort of like in 1000 Year Door, where you can warp your character to do funny things, like he's a pancake made of bread so he can float because of how light he is. The other big gameplay thing is the actual combat, because obviously if you're playing a Paper Mario-like game, there's going to be turn-based battles. And as far as I can tell, the gameplay itself is really good. There are a couple of issues though, like glitch-wise. Notice how I can't go to the left here, I'm only scrolling right. The controller mapping was off, so there were a bunch of things that didn't work properly because of the left not working. I was using a Switch Pro controller, and that was problematic. The actual combat is really good, but when the buttons don't work properly, you get things like this where I'm like mashing, and I couldn't get all the way to the end for the full attack due to the fact that I literally couldn't hit left on the controller. The balancing for the combat is good. It's definitely tough. It is, in my opinion, harder than the Paper Mario games. But the other thing, too, is I have years of experience playing the Paper Mario games, not that. And if you just noticed, there was a flash over my head. You can defend, and that will get you your, basically, like your flower points, the equivalent, back to your special attacks. There's a flash of light over your head. You can cheese the combat by doing that. Instead of actually learning the timing for blocking, you can just look for the flash of light and hit the button then. Which is good, because the timing was pretty strict for the attacks, until I realized that I was kind of getting wrecked. Speaking of getting wrecked, I died often, and that was frustrating. I died a lot. Game overs happened frequently. And there's no inn in the game. There's no place where you can heal. You can only heal using items. And that's fine because you can revive a dead party member, meaning Flint, or Lint, rather. You can revive Lint just by using items, like regular healing items. So I just started storing tons of them. I eventually ended up locking myself out of the game, though, because I went to the last page there and I couldn't leave the options menu. So I said, alright, I'll exit the game and come back. When I exited the game and came back, this happened. There's a lot of glitches. A lot of bugs, like I said. And that kind of sucked. But what I can say is that when the combat is working, when the game is working mechanically, it's absolutely amazing. And I can't wait to play this game in its next iteration. So I eagerly await those fixes and the next version of the demo or the final version of the game. If they're looking for anyone to help, I guarantee they'll have tons of people that would offer, but I can speak only for myself and say that I would be super excited to help them with this game because I think there is a ridiculous amount of potential, and they've already demonstrated through the parts of the game that work that this could be absolutely amazing, just like Bug Fables was, and be the next in the line of paper games that imitates what Paper Mario Thousand Year Door did well and takes it in other awesome directions by adding their own spin.